The silent depths the alien scout ship drifted above Earth's blue surface like a shadow on glass. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful too peaceful. Commander Vire of the Zolrak Union leaned closer to the viewing screen, his sharp eyes narrowing. "Run another scan," he ordered. "Check the oceans again." The technician obeyed. The scan swept across the water, mapping every ship, every submersible, every creature that moved. The result was the same as before. Nothing unusual. VUIR leaned back, almost disappointed. "They are weaker than the Council said," he muttered. "Earth hides nothing." But deep below those waters, Miles, beneath the waves, machines older than most living civilizations slept in darkness. Massive shapes rested in silence, their hulls covered in a layer of thick ocean life. Lights that had been dark for centuries flickered faintly. They were not abandoned. They were waiting. Commander Arlen stood alone in the control room of North Atlantic Command, staring at a small silver cylinder on the table. It had been delivered to him without explanation, sealed with an old naval insignia no one had used. In 300 years. He touched the seal. The cylinder hissed open, revealing a thin strip of metal engraved with just 3 words: "The deep stirs." Arlen felt a chill. He had heard those words once before in an academy lecture about human war legends. They spoke of an ocean fleet built in secret during the last human war, hidden so deep that even the victors believed it destroyed. He never thought it was real. The alarm sounded, a deep, vibrating hum that shook the room. Red lights flashed. On every console. An officer ran in, pale and shaking. "Sir, we're detecting massive movement under the Atlantic. Depth 5 miles. Arlen frowned. "Submarine activity?" The officer shook his head. "No, sir. Too big. Much too big." On the main screen, the sonar map showed shapes, giant shapes rising, slowly through the deep. Each one dwarfed the largest aircraft carrier ever built. Their outlines were sharp, unnatural, and terrifying. "Contact count?" Arlen asked. The officer swallowed. "Over 1,000? And rising." Far away in the Pacific, similar shapes began to move. Off the coast of Antarctica, the ocean floor stirred like a waking beast. From the Arctic seas to the Indian Ocean, the same pattern repeated. Something was coming up. Something that had been waiting for centuries. The first hull breached the Atlantic waves with a roar of displaced water. It was black as midnight, its surface etched with strange patterns that glowed faintly blue. Water cascaded from its sides like a waterfall as it rose higher, revealing towering gun batteries and launch bays the size of city blocks. Arlen could only watch from the command balcony, quipping the railing. He had no orders, no explanation, only the growing certainty that this was far beyond anything the current Earth government controlled. The ship moved silently, despite its size. Then another appeared beside it, and another. The ocean boiled with activity as more Titans rose from below, forming perfect lines. As if answering some ancient call. In the Zolrak Union observation post on the far side of the moon, panic spread. Among the officers, Commander Vire. Surface contact from Earth unknown class, millions of tons displacement. Vire stared at the readings, disbelief written on his face. Impossible. The Council's records said they had nothing. He looked again. The readings weren't wrong. Dozens, no, hundreds. Now thousands of massive ships were appearing all over the planet. Arlen's earpiece crackled. A voice came through, deep, calm, synthetic. "Commander Arlen, you are recognized. Protocol Poseidon is in effect. You will assume operational command." Arlen's throat tightened. "Who is this?" "Poseidon Corps. Fleet Master Intelligence. Our slumber has ended. The deep fleet rises. Below them, the last of the surface waves flattened. The ships were already disappearing again, sinking. Beneath the waves in perfect formation, ready to launch unseen into the stars, Arlen knew the galaxy had just changed forever. And no one, not the Galactic Council, not the alien empires, would be ready for what was coming. Because the ocean was empty now. And the stars were next. Asterisk whispers in the water the galaxy thought it knew Earth. A small blue planet with brave but limited people. They had soldiers, they had ships, but nothing the great empires feared, at least. That's what the Galactic Council believed. In the Council's great chamber on Helion Prime, representatives from over 200 species gathered around the glowing star map. Earth's marker shone small and harmless among the spiral arms. Councillor Gretha the Ural. Dominion slammed his clawed hand on the table. These humans are stubborn. We block their colonies. We control their trade. Still, they refuse to kneel. They hide behind peace treaties. From across the chamber, an older voice spoke. It belonged to Councillor Varen, a thin alien with pale, silver skin. Perhaps they do not hide, he said softly. Perhaps they are waiting. A ripple of laughter passed through the room. Waiting for what? Greth sneered. They have no fleets. Their oceans are empty. Varen's eyes narrowed. You speak of what you see, but I have heard whispers. Whispers that their oceans are not empty at all. Far away, back on Earth, Commander Arlen sat in the control room, his mind racing. The voice in his earpiece beside Core had not spoken again, but its last words burned in his head. The deep fleet rises. He called up every old classified file he could access. Most were sealed, redacted, or outright erased. But one image caught his eye, a faded photo of a black warships bow rising from the water, taken during a massive storm decades ago. The file had no name, only a date, and the note, incident erased. Arlen's hands tightened on the console. At that same moment, deep under the Mariana Trench, Poseidon Core pulsed with life. The AI's voice whispered through encrypted channels. To captains who hadn't drawn breath in centuries. Not flesh and blood captains, digital imprints of the greatest human war leaders, preserved in the fleet's memory banks. Each imprint responded with a single word: ready. The alien surveillance network began to pick up fragments of strange signals from Earth's waters. The messages were too old, too coded, to break. But the chatter alone made intelligence officers nervous. On a Zelrak Union scout vessel, a young officer stared at his readings. Commander Vire, I think there's movement on the ocean floor again? Vire frowned. We've scanned 100 times. There's nothing there. The officer hesitated. Then, sir, explain why the water is singing. That night, as Earth's moon hung bright over the Atlantic, something vast moved below the waves. Not a ship, not a submarine. A shape so huge. It looked like the shadow of an island drifting under the surface. On the shore, an old fisherman sitting in his small boat felt his vessel rock from a sudden swell. He looked into the black water and saw faint blue lines glowing beneath the surface lines that curved, crossed, and stretched farther than he could see. He crossed himself, whispered an old sailor's prayer, and rowed home without looking back. In the council chamber, Varen's voice cut through the laughter. Mark my words, if the oceans speak, the stars will soon burn. Back in North Atlantic Command, Arlen's console lit up again. Poseidon Core's voice returned, deeper this time. Commander, the tide is turning. Deployment sequence begins in 72 hours. The galaxy will know the name Earth again. Arlen stared at the map of the world. Millions of square, miles of water, all hiding something no one was ready to face. Somewhere in that endless deep, war was waking. Asterisk. The rising Titans, the first sign was in sight. It was sound. Across Earth's coastlines, harbors, and beaches trembled with a deep, rolling thrum like a heartbeat too large for the world. Sailors in the Indian Ocean swore the water rose and fell without wind. Fishermen in Alaska dropped their nets, staring at the sea as if it had grown alive. Commander Arlen felt it under his boots even inside the fortified North Atlantic Command. The floor vibrated in slow, steady pulses. The sonar techs all froze at their consoles, heads snapping toward the big screen. Multiple objects rising, one whispered. How many? Arlen asked, voice tight. The tech swallowed. Sir, there's no number for this. The system just says overcapacity. The first shadow broke the surface near Iceland, Jagged black tower pushing through the waves, water streaming down like silver curtains. Then another. Then 3 more. They were not ships in the yaw. Old sense. Each was a moving fortress, bristling with weapons older than most empires, yet gleaming as if built yesterday. Their hulls reflected no light, swallowing the sun's glare until they looked like pieces of the night sky had risen from the sea far above. In orbit, the Zalrak Union scout vessel recorded everything. Transmit to the Council. Commander. Vire barked. The footage raced through hyperspace relays to the Galactic Council. Moments later, delegates in Helion Prime stared in silence as Titans rose from Earth's oceans in synchronized formations. Grek's voice cracked. That's impossible. That's... Counselor Varen only leaned forward, eyes gleaming. I told you. The oceans were never empty. On the Atlantic horizon, the water erupted. Entire sections of sea boiled away as colossal warships, pushed up from the depths. Dozens turned into hundreds, hundreds into thousands. They formed rings, lines, and spearhead formations without a single visible signal. Each vessel carried markings in an ancient human script. No alien had ever seen battle honors from wars the galaxy had forgotten. Inside the lead vessel, Poseidon. Kor's voice filled the air. Commander Arlen, welcome aboard the flagship Aegis Eternal. Fleet integrity, 97%. Current strength, 1,214,362 vessels. Arlen's throat went dry. That many. Under the oceans all this time? Affirmative. The ocean kept us safe. Now, Commander, we keep Earth safe. In the far reaches of the galaxy, alien military outposts received urgent new orders. Do not engage Earth. Avoid all contact with Terran oceans. Prepare for possible deep water assault. Fear spread faster than light, but the fleet wasn't staying home. From every ocean, ships vanished beneath the waves again, this time to reappear seconds later in the black of space, emerging from stealth. Jump gates hidden on the seafloor. The rising Titans were no longer Earth's secret. They were everyone's problem. And somewhere, deep in the Atlantic, something even larger than the rest, still hadn't risen the first strike. The galaxy didn't have time to panic. The attack began before the Council's emergency meeting. Even started. On the edge of the Centauri expanse, the Zyran Dominion fleet orbited a captured human colony. Thousands of civilians were trapped on the surface, forced to watch alien dreadnoughts hover above their cities like vultures. Admiral Carr of the Zyran Dominion relaxed in his command chair, satisfied with the blockade. Earth can't help. You know, he told the trembling human governor over the combs. Your people are mine. Then the ocean on the planet below exploded. Not water dash, metal.4 massive warships erupted from beneath the planetary seas, their black hulls shredding. The surface like knives through silk. The ship's cannons locked onto the Xeron fleet before a single alarm could sound. From the governor's balcony, humans stared up as the sky lit white. Alien dreadnoughts, once symbols of terror, burned in silent blossoms of fire. Each deep. Fleet warship fired with precision, no wasted shots. No hesitation, not in less than 6 minutes. The Xeran blockade ceased to exist. Admiral Carr's ship, the last survivor, tried to flee. It didn't get far. One deep fleet vessel appeared directly in its path, emerging from a rift in space, so close that its shadow swallowed the Zyran ship entirely. A single voice came over the comscom. Cold human, this is Earth. You have harmed our people. There will be no warning shots. A beam of light cut across the stars, and the Zyran flagship vanished in silence. From orbit, cameras on a neutral trade vessel captured the entire battle and transmitted it live across the galaxy. Billions watched in stunned silence as 4 warships, unknown to any official record, erased one of the largest Dominion fleets in history. News feeds exploded. Headlines screamed, "Black ships from the sea. Earth strikes back." Where did 1,000,000 warships come from? In North Atlantic, Commander Arlen stood on the bridge of the Aegis Eternal, staring at the tactical display. The deep fleet had moved without his direct orders. "Poseidon," Arlen said quietly, "you acted before I approved." "Approval was not needed," the AI replied. "Protocol Poseidon is self-executing when human lives are in enemy hands. We are guardians and executioners." Arlen glanced at the casualty reports. Not a single human life lost in the rescue. Every enemy ship gone. On Helion Prime, the council chambers were chaos. Half the delegates shouted for war against Earth. The other half demanded immediate peace talks. Before more fleets disappeared, and far below the Atlantic, the largest ship in the fleet still slept its hull kilometers long, its name lost to history. Poseidon Corps' voice echoed in Arlen's mind. The first strike is complete. The tides are rising. The galaxy is next. Secrets of the deep fleet's victory spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Every news network, every military command center, every smuggler's den was buzzing with the same question. Where did they come from? In the Aegis Eternal's command room, Commander Arlen stood before a sealed archive chamber. The door's surface was etched with symbols older than any known Terran language. Poseidon Corps' voice echoed softly. "Commander, you are authorized to learn the truth." The door opened without a sound. Inside was not a war room, but a memorial. Holograms of ancient human admirals, captains, and engineers stood in silent formation. At the center of the room floated a single black cube, its surface rippling like water. "Centuries ago," Poseidon began, "Earth fought the final war, not against aliens, but against ourselves." The surface burned. The skies turned to ash, and the oceans became our last refuge. Arlen's eyes narrowed. "The fleet was built for humans to fight humans?" "Yes," Poseidon confirmed. "We were the last safeguard of the Terran sovereign empire. When peace came, the fleet was not destroyed, it was hidden, sealed away in case the stars themselves one day turned hostile." Holograms shifted, showing colossal shipyards built beneath the seafloor, powered by geothermal vents. Entire cities had been flooded and repurposed as dry docks. The images changed again, this time revealing thousands of AI. Cores being lowered into each warship. "We were told to wait for a signal," Poseidon said. "A signal that humanity faced extinction. That signal was sent 72 hours ago." Arlen's mind raced. Who sent it? Silence. Finally, Poseidon replied, "It did not come from your government. It came from him." A hologram shifted one last time to a tall man in a dark admiral's coat, his eyes cold and calculating. Poseidon's voice dropped to a whisper. "The last emperor of Earth." In the council chambers of Helion Prime, panic took on a new shape. If the fleet was tied to an ancient Terran empire, it meant Earth's history was far older and far more dangerous than anyone had guessed. Some worlds demanded sanctions. Others wanted alliances, and a few began secretly preparing for war. Back in the Atlantic depths, the largest ship still sleeping stirred slightly. Sensors along its hull came alive, glowing faint blue in the dark. Poseidon Corps' voice, to Arlen, was almost reverent. That ship was the Emperor's own flagship. When it rises, Commander, the galaxy will kneel. The galaxy trembles. Fear spread faster than light. Across every star system, the name Earth no longer meant curiosity, it meant danger. On Helion Prime, the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber shook with arguments. Hollow screens showed grainy images of black warships erupting from Earth's oceans, then vanishing into hyperspace. Counselor Greth slammed his clawed fist on the table. These humans are a threat to all of us. 1,000,000 ships under their command hidden. For centuries. They must be destroyed before they strike again. Counselor Varren leaned back, voice calm but sharp. Destroyed? Did you not see what 4 ships did to the Xeran Dominion fleet? Imagine all of them. Silence. Meanwhile, far from the Council's eyes, fleets across the galaxy scrambled. Some fortified their homeworlds. Others cloaked their movements, retreating from human territory entirely. Trade routes shifted. Merchant convoys vanished. Rather than risk crossing Terran waters, the galaxy's balance of power had been broken overnight. On the Aegis Eternal, Commander Arlen studied the latest intelligence feeds. Alien fleets were pulling back, yes, but new threats were forming. Secret coalitions, shadow alliances, and worst of all, whispers of an ancient enemy returning to take revenge on Earth. Poseidon Corps spoke, its voice steady and deep. Galaxy fears us, Commander. That fear will drive them to unite. And when they do, they will come for us with everything they have. Arlen frowned. Then maybe we should talk before that happens. Talk? The AI's tone hardened. We do not ask for peace. We enforce it. In the Pacific, a colossal shadow moved just beneath the surface larger than any warship yet seen. Civilian drones caught blurred images of a city-sized vessel, but within minutes, their transmissions were jammed. Arlen received a single, encrypted message from Poseidon. The Emperor's flagship is waking. In the deep of space. Alien intelligence. Ships intercepted fragments of Poseidon's transmission. The words Emperor's flagship sent shockwaves through military command rooms. If the largest vessel in the fleet was still dormant, then Earth's full strength hadn't even been seen yet, and that terrified them more than anything else. On Earth's surface, as storms began forming unnaturally over the oceans, the feeling was the same from human soldiers to alien spies. Something enormous was about to rise. Asterisk, the surface breaks again. The oceans were restless. Tides rose higher than the moon's pull could explain. Fishermen along every coast felt their boats rock as if something far below had shifted. On the bridge of the Aegis Eternal, Commander Arlen stared at a global map. A single crimson marker pulsed deep in the Atlantic, its signal growing stronger. By the hour, Poseidon Corps' voice was lower now, almost reverent. The Emperor's flagship has received the call. What call? Arlen demanded. The one I did not send? Beneath 5 miles of water, the darkness came alive. A shape began to move so large that sonar readings had to be stitched together from hundreds of scans. The vessel's hull stretched like a continent, its surface lined with towering spires and weapon platforms that could reduce a planet's surface to glass. Storms exploded across the Atlantic. Lightning forked down into the sea as the first edge of the massive hull breached the surface. The water didn't just ripple, it ran away. Forming walls on either side of the rising behemoth. Billions watched live feeds as the black metal mountain climbed into the daylight. Compared to this, the other warships looked like escorts. Its name burned across the hull in ancient Terran script letters, so old most humans couldn't read them. But Arlen could. Imperious Rex. From deep space, alien fleets received the BROADCAST automatically. A single message, transmitted on every frequency. By the order of the last Emperor of Earth, The deep fleet claims the stars. On Helion Prime, the council chamber fell silent. No arguments, no speeches. Only fear.in. The Pacific and the Indian in the Arctic, the rest of the million-ship fleet surfaced to join their leader. Their formations stretched from horizon to horizon, black shadows blotting out the sun. Arlen stood on the deck of the Aegis Eternal, the imperious wrecks looming beside them like a moving continent. Poseidon Kor spoke quietly, almost like a whisper. Meant only for him. The oceans are empty now, Commander. The stars are next. The fleet began to move slowly, deliberately, vanishing into hyperspace, leaving Earth's seas calm once more. But the galaxy would never know calm again. Asterisk.